When legendary UK rock guitarist Jeff Beck passed away on January 10, 2023, it closed the book on a more than 60-plus year career in music. His instrumental chops were an inspiration to many Inland Empire musicians who were aspiring guitar gods. In 1964, UK band the Yardbirds were made up of Left to Right, Jim McCarty drums, Chris Drea rhythm guitar, Paul Samuel Smith bass, Keith Ralph lead vocals and harmonica, and Eric Clapton lead guitar. By 1965, Clapton had left the band wanting to pursue a more blues-oriented direction. He considered the Yardbirds to be nothing more than a pop group. Studio session guitarist Jimmy Page was first offered Eric Clapton's vacated position, but he declined because the money he was making in studio work was too good. Instead, he recommended his boyhood friend Jeff Beck to take the lead guitar spot. Jeff Beck was more than happy to join a band that was already established in the music industry. The Yardbirds are pictured here on a 1966 cover of San Bernardino radio station KFXM's Tiger Mag. Beck is seen on the left. On October 20th, 1966, the Yardbirds staged a press conference in Los Angeles to kick off the latest leg of their 1966 U.S. tour. Representing the I.E. at the event were KFXM DJs Jim Conniff and Al Anthony, who posed for a photo with the band. However, not seen in the press conference photo was new member Jimmy Page. Also not seen in the photo was lead guitarist Jeff Beck. Page joined the Yardbirds in June 1966 when bassist Paul Samuel Smith quit the band. It wasn't long before Page and Drea switched instruments from bass to guitar and vice versa. As potent as this lineup was, it lasted barely 5 months. By November 1966, Jeff Beck had been fired from the band for missing gigs during the earlier leg of that year's American tour. Before the firing of Beck, he and Page played double lead guitar on the incendiary single Happenings 10 Years Time Ago. By the end of 1966, the tune was one of their most popular releases in the Inland Empire. It was the number one single in the I.E. on KFXM's December 9, 1966, Radio 59 Fabulous 40 chart. On the December 10, 1966 San Bernardino radio station KMEN's K-Mendes 10 chart, the song peaked at number 2. It was kept out of the number 1 spot by the single Who Killed the Ice Cream Man by Inland Empire group The Bush. Even though Jeff Beck was no longer a Yardbird, he was so highly regarded that on December 10, 1966, he was featured in KMEN's weekly music publication as the K-Entertainer of the Week. The Yardbirds never played the I.E. while Jeff Beck was a member. When Beck was fired from the band in the fall of 1966, Jimmy Page took over sole lead guitar duties and the band carried on as a quartet. It was this configuration of the band that played Riverside's Purple Haze Club in June 1968. Their opening act was KFXM disc jockey Don McCoy, who performed his magic act. After Jeff Beck departed from the Yardbirds, he recorded 3 solo singles, Hi-Ho Silver Lining, Tallyman, and Love is Blue. The 3 releases were fairly successful in the UK, but not so much in the USA. In 1967, Jeff Beck formed the Jeff Beck Group. In the band were Ronnie Wood on bass, Rod Stewart on vocals, session musician Nicky Hopkins on keyboards, and a succession of drummers, including Ainsley Dunbar, Mickey Waller, and Tony Newman. It was the Jeff Beck Group that was scheduled to headline the Palm Springs Pop Festival on April 1st, 1969. It was staged at the Palm Springs Drive-In Theater. This was to be Jeff Beck's first scheduled appearance in the Inland Empire. The lineup for the show in this poster included Jeff Beck, John Mayall, the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, Lee Michaels, Moby Grape, and Inland Empire band Hard Luck Boy. Tickets were $4 in advance, $4.50 at the door. Advertised as Master of Ceremonies was KMET Los Angeles underground FM radio DJ B. Mitchell Reed. A crowd of some 5,000 music fans packed the outdoor venue. The list of performers was constantly in flux. This story appearing in the March 28, 1969 KFXM Tiger Mag added Canned Heat, the Buddy Miles Express, and the Savoy Brown Blues Band to the lineup. Other sources reported that bands playing included Procol Harum, the Steve Miller Band, Ike and Tina Turner, Eric Burdon and the Animals, and the Flying Burrito Brothers. However, according to reports, the Jeff Beck Group didn't make it to the Palm Springs Pop Festival stage. One concert attendee posted on the ProcolHarum.com website about his experience at the concert. He wrote, "And to top it off, it was announced after Butterfield's set that the headliners, the Jeff Beck Group, wasn't going to play. Seems Jeff and a then unknown Rod Stewart had got into a knockdown drag-out back at the hotel, and the group was breaking up. Sheesh." And so, even though the facts are still a bit hazy, it's not likely that the Jeff Beck Group actually appeared at the Palm Springs Pop Festival. After their no-show at the Palm Springs Pop Festival, the Jeff Beck Group decided that the band was in no condition to continue the tour. As a result, they canceled their shows at the Fillmore West in San Francisco and flew back to the UK. The band regrouped for a spring and summer U.S. tour that was to include a performance at the Woodstock Festival on August 17, 1969. In hindsight, many have speculated that this appearance might have been a big break for the Jeff Beck Group, had their part of the concert ended up in the Woodstock movie. However, the band never appeared at Woodstock because it split up for the final time in late July 1969 after a Detroit performance. In November 1969, Jeff Beck was involved in a serious automobile accident that derailed his music career for almost a year and a half. On the mend in 1970 and 1971, Beck reorganized the Jeff Beck Group with a new lineup: Cozy Powell on drums, Clive Shaman on bass, Bobby Tench on vocals, and Max Middleton on keyboards. It was this lineup that appeared on October 31st, 1971, at the Swing Auditorium in San Bernardino. They were promoting their new album, Rough and Ready. This was Jeff Beck's first appearance in the Inland Empire. The Jeff Beck Group returned to the Swing Auditorium on August 11, 1972. They headlined over Edgar Winter and the then up-and-coming boogie band, Foghat. But by the time this concert took place, drummer Cozy Powell and bassist Clive Shaman had been dismissed from the group by Jeff Beck. The mid-tour sackings forced Beck to scramble to add replacements to fulfill tour obligations. The replacements were Carmine Appice on drums and Tim Bogert on bass. Previously, the pair had been members of the groups Vanilla Fudge and Cactus. Retained were Bobby Tench on vocals and Max Middleton on keyboards. They would not last long, as the Jeff Beck Group was in the process of transitioning into the power trio Beck, Bogert, and Appice. There was a bootleg release of the August 1972 Swing Show. It gave listeners a chance to hear this hybrid band. The tunes performed included one Yardbirds song, 3 from the original Jeff Beck group, 6 from the second Jeff Beck group, and 3 that would be recorded with Beck, Bogert, and a piece. Almost 35 years would pass until Jeff Beck made a return engagement in the Inland Empire. That concert took place on April 7, 2006, at the McCallum Theater in Palm Desert. The musicians accompanying him at this show were Vinnie Colaiuta on drums, Jason Rebello on keyboards, Pino Palladino on bass, and Beth Hart on vocals. Vinnie previously recorded and toured with Frank Zappa, Joni Mitchell, and Sting. Jason also was a former member of Sting's band. Pino toured and recorded with The Who and John Mayer. Beth was an LA-based singer who was picked to sing the bluesy songs. 4 years later, Jeff Beck returned to the Inland Empire when he played a gig at the Pechanga Resort and Casino in Temecula on April 18, 2010. Backing up Jeff Beck were Rhonda Smith on bass, Nerida Michael Walden on drums, and Jason Rebello on keyboards. Rhonda was previously a member of Prince's band. Nerida Michael previously worked with Jeff on his 1976 Wired album, and Jason had been a member of Beck's band since 2004. 12 years would pass until Beck performed again in the I.E. He made a return engagement at the Pechanga Resort and Casino in Temecula on November 2nd, 2022. Playing in Beck's band were his longtime Canadian bassist, Rhonda Smith. Newcomers, UK producer, mixer, engineer Robert Adam Stevenson on keyboards, German drummer Annika Niles, and Johnny Depp on vocals and guitar. Yes, that Johnny Depp. Before his acting career took off, Depp had dabbled in music. In 2012, he became a member of the Hollywood Vampires, a side project group with rotating members centered around Depp, Joe Perry, Alice Cooper, and Tommy Hendrickson. Beck and Depp first met in 2016 and over time found musical common ground and developed a mutual friendship. By 2019, they began work on an album that they would eventually call 18 and release in July 2022. It consisted of original songs and a number of cover tunes by other artists. In the fall of 2022, Jeff Beck began an American tour. Johnny Depp joined the tour on October 4th and would stay until its conclusion on November 12th. One of those dates was the November 2nd Temecula appearance. Sadly, this was to be Jeff Beck's final tour and last appearance in the Inland Empire. He passed away some 2 months after the conclusion of the tour on January 10, 2023.